It's March the 6th, 2018. I'm Dana Durnford, your host, TheNuclearProctologist.org. We are live streaming at Beautiful Girl by Dana at YouTube, TheNuclearProctologist.org. 11 days before the 7th anniversary of the Fukushima nuclear meltdowns, 6 p.m. we stream 5 days a week, 4 days a week at 6 p.m. Blah, 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 blah. Tough gig when we got a new site. My apologies. Please share us out there. Nobody else will. Please consider starting up other social networking sites and posting clips or full videos or links to the videos. And these videos are the elephant in the room that'll exterminate Earth. Your superheroes are not going to help you, they're not going to protect you because they're fake. They're meant to manipulate you and deceive you and take away your ability to rationalize that you're the heroes and they are the zeros. Nuclear is a stick of dynamite in everybody's life and all 8 million species. It's time to go to war. Whose side are you on? Do you want to survive what they got done to you? Then you need to just learn the basics, understand all the basics, come to terms with the reality, understand that this is not irrelevant, that this is extremely relevant, that this is so important that you gather up documentation and are able to rationalize the right decisions. Under a lot of stress, enormous amount of stress, not as much as this planet, and so that's okay too. But it's shocking that we are forced to come out and do battle against this industry, and then we see activists in Bangkok are picking up some slack, and that's pretty good. And as simple as this, the activists in Bangkok demanded that Fisheries Department reveal the names of 12 restaurants that imported the Fukushima fish. Blah. And they may sue the agency if they discover that the fish are contaminated. But guess what? They can't find the restaurants. Nobody seems to know the restaurants where the fish were too. How is that possible? Fisheries and the government are like, well, we don't know where the fish went. When they got here, they disappeared from the planet. So they're refusing to tell everybody where the fish are too. Now, before Fukushima, 100 becquerels a kilogram, which is the limit for shipping the fish, allegedly, of cesium. But cesium is not the only isotope. So it's ludicrous to assert that 100 becquerels now, when before it was put on a nuclear waste forever with the other stuff. I done a little trailer this morning. Let's play that little trailer. Activist says no to nuclear. You can't say that, man. Can he say that? You can't say no to nuclear? Man, oh man, oh man. What's next, I wonder? Oh, catch the show tonight. We shake our head in disbelief. What the frig is going through your mind? So it wasn't bad enough. And hi to everybody. Now, we're just a few days away from the 7th anniversary of the Fukushima nuclear meltdowns. Let me bring up the comments section here. Hi, everybody. It's the only part of the day that I feel good. How weird is that? Can't feel that good then if you can't get there. I'm there. I'm here. Hi, everybody. Hi, folks. And Elaine is your moderator in the blue. And Elaine has been protesting nuclear long before I showed up. long before Fukushima, and it's contributed dramatically. And hi to everybody. Hi, everybody. Wait and Wack got everybody listed for me. Dana, Elaine, Debbie, Joe, Patrick, Lynn, Spear. Love to all is right. Hi, everybody. And so sometimes these slows are a little slow. These slows are a little slow. These shows are a little slow. Slurring my words tonight. Crappy. I wonder, Cat. Debbie, Amthers. Hi, everybody. Let's keep rolling here. Yeah, hi, Lynn. Not long before me, Elaine? Okay. I won't say that no more. How about that? I'm trying to get back to the other window, but I'm... So they took down my main site with 22,000 subscribers 11 days ago to silence opposition to mass murder of the people in Bangkok and other countries. So Fukushima had it bad enough. Japan had it bad enough where it was smoked with a massive tsunami, but the tsunami ran through the nuclear power plant. And these are just 2 of the 4 reactors that are completely melted down and disappeared. Obviously, they blew up, right? You get it? They blew up. That's reactor 3. You're looking at reactor 3. And reactor 3 on its own was capable of destroying the Pacific Ocean. And by the way, Japan only checks 1% of the food. 1%. So the activists in Bangkok protesting shipping the food in there are right to do that. But if you hang around because you're smart, you'll understand. You'll understand. Now, the Fukushima power plant, the journalists and the fisheries and oceans in Bangkok who say everything is safe should go to Fukushima and hang out at number 3 for a few minutes, and then we'll agree with you if they survive the 1,000-mile steer of Medusa, which is number 3 reactor. Workers are fired once they have heat stroke. So if you got a business, do you fire your employees when they get heat stroke? As a worker have, right? Well, it's not heat stroke. They're about to die. They want them off the site so they're not counted as a statistic. And all the food that's coming out of Fukushima Prefecture or even Japan is going to be highly radiated food. Everything, including Tokyo and north of Tokyo, every prefecture, 14 of them, are going to be highly radioactive. You can't eat the food. Now, just because you don't drop dead when you eat the food, does that mean that it's not poison? People can be shot with bullets, not die for several years, and then the people who shot them are charged with murder. This is the same application we're looking at. So you see the destroyed buildings, and then they show you these beautiful buildings. And then they roll out the guy who made the assemblies for the fuel pool. His name is Arne Gunners, and he's going to lie to you and tell you that in the building behind me is that beautiful fuel pool. He's never come out and said, hey, wait a second, this looks a little strange.
Now, the division I ran built nuclear fuel racks for boiling water reactors exactly like Fukushima. And
Unit 4 has always been my biggest concern. If you watched our website, on the very first week of the accident, I was saying that if Unit 4 were to catch fire, you'd have to evacuate Tokyo.
Tokyo. Now, I don't know about you, but Unit 4 is gone. So they're supposed to evacuate Tokyo because of the radioactive fallout, which meant that all the food at Fukushima, which is a lot closer in Tokyo, should be evacuated those areas. Now, why the question that the activist needs to propose to the fisheries and the media in Bangkok is, why are they growing it there? And why are you defending it? Right? And so this is really bizarre land. They could be trying to control the narrative with what's going on in Bangkok, also roll out what they consider opposition, but is not. I'm not saying that that person is not opposition. I'm just saying, check this guy here. You'll see what I mean.
Emergency condition.
Now, he's TEPCO's official spokesperson. He's at the Washington Press Club. Could be the Bangkok Press Club or Japanese Press Club or China Press Club. Now, he's going to tell everybody that the building looks like this on the inside.
Fukushima stage, and that's that. As I mentioned, the successful completion of the dismantle of the
Now that's reactor 4. He's claiming people are inside of it. This is at the press club, and the press club doesn't say, hey, wait a second, it looks like that. Like Arne Gunners just done the same thing. He's the guy who made the assemblies for the pool. He doesn't know it's gone. He's TEPCO. He don't know it's all gone. He's showing you that building when it looks like this behind me. So it exploded. Do you get it? The entire nuclear core was injected into the environment. Now, this is why Arne Gunners, and scumbag that he is, said that if number 4 collapses, then you'd have to evacuate Tokyo. Here's a BBC claiming they're at 4, so they don't have to evacuate Tokyo.
So this is really why we've been brought here. Where I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4.
Now, if he was on top of the building over there, he'd be dead instantly. So the Bangkok activist has every expectation that there's some sleight of hand or mass murder happening here. You got BBC faking being on a building that don't exist. That Arne Gunners had told you if that collapses, bye-bye Tokyo. So why would you even have nuclear power if it's bye-bye Tokyo? And you got to evacuate everything north of Japan. How does that work? Why would you have it on your planet? And when it does go, how can you say there's no contamination in the fish or the food? How do you get that evil? So just a couple of people are capable of murdering everybody in Bangkok. We'll get to that. It's a horrifying story, no matter how you try to look at it. Max fuel, which is reactor 3, this is a different reactor, is obviously gone also. Now, the reactor core at the very top of the building, they stored reactor cores in those pools for decades, and the reactor cores runs up to the top of the building. It's gone in that reactor number 4, despite the fact that BBC says it is not, and that TEPCO says it's not gone, and even though Arne Gunners says it's not gone, but if it was, you got to evacuate north or everything, including Tokyo and north of Tokyo. So, but it's gone. But it wasn't just a reactor; it was reactor cores, decades of reactor cores stored in the worst place conceivable, imaginable, anywhere on the planet. And so we have documentations because they picked up 30 million one-ton bags. Spears of radioactive material from Fukushima reported for the first time. Balls-like particles. Now, this was reported in the 50s in open ocean testing. The sulfur peroxide from the salt water, the sulfur from the salt water, created these like soccer balls that were able to ingest the isotopes, or the atoms with isotopes inside of them, and turn them into little suclear. So clear, it's so clear. Trolls are chop chop. We'll screw him later with that nuclear shit, I guarantee you. Solid and insoluble in water. Impact on human health. These are hot particles, every one of them. Here's CNN claiming they're in a building that don't exist.
We are here inside Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant that was severely crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011. leading to the country's worst nuclear disaster.
That's because we're doing a high quality, right? Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, buddy. Yeah, I'm trying to set the precedence for what the rest of the story is. Fukushima chief calls out Mayday, Mayday when reactor 3 exploded. Headquarters said, okay, you're going to lunch, are you?
Building 4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them, and it's been a very delicate procedure, and they've removed all...
This is Dr. Helen Caldercott, tip of the spear, the head of the resistance, telling everybody that they fixed the pool, like CNN had just done, and BBC had done, and TEPCO had done. So there's a lot of lying going on. And so Arne Gunners and Helen Caldercott are at the top of the anti-nuclear activists, lying to everybody, manipulating everybody. So the activists that are opposing the import of fish, and of course, all the other food will show up there, we'll get to that too, has every right to be concerned. Yeah? Okay. Now, when the worms, which is, you got to have worms to get your food to grow, are excreting 1.4 million becquerels a kilogram, 60 kilometers away, the whole country's leaching into the ocean. So they're not talking about importing food from all the supermarkets. Everybody ran away and still have never went back and never will. No. So how is it that the journalists in Bangkok can't find any of the stuff I'm showing you? How does the Fisheries and Oceans and the handful of people at Fisheries and Oceans, I'm not saying everybody at Fisheries and Oceans in Bangkok is bad, just a lot of them, right? And the ones that are public are guaranteed to be public relation firms. You can't get the job in upper management of government unless you're a public relation firm. So they're the worst humans imaginable. They're not humans. They're the worst demons on the planet. So they quote Section 61 of 2017 Constitution. So in one sense, the media has come out and said, hey, wait a second. But in the other sense, they gave the lawyers a platform to lie to everybody. And so the journalist's job is to get to the truth, not to give you the two lawyers and let you make up your mind. The journalist's job is to be an investigative journalist and go look up and say, well, hang on a second. I looked it up, and it's not like a banana or walking in the sunshine or getting on an airplane or sleeping next to someone. It's not good for you. It's not natural. It's not everywhere. It's not like climbing a mountain. And he picked up 30 million one-ton bags. Yeah, the activists got a legitimate concern. Instead, they come out, and they give you the left and right, and they walk away with their hands up your butts trying to get you to say what they want you to say. 100 kilograms of flatfish and 30 kilograms of sole has been imported from Fukushima, and now they don't know what restaurants they're gone to. They know they're gone to 12 restaurants, but they don't know which one. In other words, they're protecting the restaurants. Why are the restaurants importing fish from the most contaminated place on the planet? How did you get that evil? How did you get that stupid? How did you get that maniacal? How did you get that demonic? How did you get that soulless and spineless and twisted and heartless? Huh? Hi, everybody. Not doing very good, am I, this last week or so? I was sick almost every day. And we got another site now where I got to work twice as hard to do my streams every day. Sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Japan is paying travelers to visit Fukushima. We go to the most radiated place on the planet. We're going to give you $63 to share a photo on Facebook and $63 to answer 5 questions. This is insanity. This is absolutely disgusting that we don't have a single journalist out there saying it's wrong. Yeah, they reported on it, but they're not saying it's wrong. The FDA had inspected the shipments for radioactive contamination, said the monster in Bangkok. Hey, stupid. You disgusting, despicable, twisted cunt is the better word for it. How do you get to be this evil, you bitch from Bangkok? You pick up 30 million one-ton bags and you don't think there's any issues. You think you should let your... See, you eat a single mouthful, you end up with a cancer down the road. Like the activist was warning you. And you go out and you berate them and try to humiliate them and try to smear them and vilify them. Okay, well, that's what they've done for me for 6 years, 7 years. But now you're going to do it to them. So we'll come back to that story because it's there was a couple of different medias ran out and screamed, activist says, well, we got Fisheries and Oceans said it was okay. So there you go. He's an official. He's an activist. Who are you going to believe? This is, why even have a journalist? We don't need journalists if that's all they're going to do. Not even like bloggers don't even be that disgusting. Like, why would you trust media? How can you support media? Why are you buying media? Why are you buying them and reading their disgusting lies? If they're willing to lie about you one, they're willing to lie about it all. Like, here's another journalist. 7 years after 3/11, product exports from Fukushima Prefecture making a strong recovery. What are you talking about? Right, peaches. Well, you got Boris Johnson a couple of weeks back to drink peaches, and all of a sudden now everything is to be ignore the 30 million one-ton bags, by the way, that are still right there, still in the same spot, still filling up, still contaminating everything. It's horrifying that we can't even have a conversation. Tons. This is a really sick story, by the way, coming up. Or peaches. Exports of peach and rice produced in Fukushima Prefecture have been brisk. Why are you growing it in the most radiated place where people don't even live? How can you write a headline like that? Well, that particular media is notorious for doing this. Well, they're not media. They're monsters. Peach exports approached 50 tons in 2017. And the media has never, ever, not a single freaking time, come out and warn people that this might not be appropriate, that they should do even better testing or blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Unbelievable, unimaginable, hideous silence from the media the whole time. I get a little cranky sometimes. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I hear you. Hi, everybody. I'm going to remind everybody that you have to donate. You have to find a way. Like, you got to find a way to fund what I'm doing. They're attacking me from every angle. They're smearing me and vilifying me and stomping on me. I get dragged into courts. They do everything every day. They're at me nonstop. I don't go away and I don't give up, but I work on nothing all the time. Everything I get, I got to stretch it 1,000 miles further than anybody else on the planet could. I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to do this without your help. I can do what I'm doing, and let's just jump for a second here. Dr. Raymond Gilman, let's talk about that for a few seconds, just to remind anybody who's not familiar. The problem with eating the peaches and eating the rice and eating seafood is the same as the problem the dogs had when they ate it. Now, the dogs only ate it once. Imagine if you're going to eat it every day and get the same results. The dog inhaled one of two sizes of monodispersal. They only had exposure, very, like you're probably going to get food for sure in Bangkok with way more than what the dogs inhaled in a single serving from the fish. And tumors of the lung, skeleton, and liver. Tumors of the lungs, the skeleton. Please listen. Please don't do this to the people in Bangkok. Tumors of the lung, skeleton, and liver occurred beginning about 3 years. It didn't occur that night or the next morning. There's no way they can say, well, I ate some fish from Fukushima 3 years ago. That's probably what caused the tumors in my lungs, the skeleton, and my liver. But bone tumors found in 93 dogs were the most common cause of death. The dogs died. Lung tumors in 46 dogs were the second most common cause of death. This is 144 animals. They all died within 5 years. So how can fisheries and oceans say, it'll be okay? We're going to go out and lie. How can you do that? How can a journalist not know these studies exist? How can a journalist come out for 74 years and tell you that it's like a banana, walking in the sunshine, getting on an airplane, sleeping next to somebody, it's good for you, blah, 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 when study after study after study shows all the animals died. Now, every animal in every study for 74 years have died. They've never cured an animal by giving them man-made radiation. They've never cured somebody in hospital by giving them man-made radiation when they showed up with tumors. Every one of them died before they would have without the tumor. And only 3% of the people treated by chemotherapy live longer than they would have without it. And the reason these people suffer and the victims and they lose their assets and the children grow up with nothing because of the cancers and the treatments is because your journalists have stabbed you in the back every step of the way that you looked for the truth. The journalists had manipulated you so you didn't understand there was another narrative. The Bangkok journalists, right, they probably went in and kicked the dogs just before they died for a joke. See? They're monsters. Now, we know the Pacific is not safe because I went out there and I'd done the whole coastline of North America right across from Japan. And what I discovered was it was an extinction event. Everything is wiped out. Now, fish are way up the food table. What we went and looked at is the most vulnerable part of the ocean, the tidal zones. And these are the authentic before and after pictures. This was done over 260 days and 15,000 miles of the coastline in the Dinky. So we're going to drag that operation out there this time, coming up really soon, by the way. As soon as a possibility of 3 weeks' time, I could be leaving, and I could wait another month or 2 months before I leave. It's debatable. And so we're going to drag that up the coastline. And we got the two Zodiacs in a sailboat. And we're going to go up and we're going to do that whole coastline again because people won't fight for their future or the other 8 million species on this planet. And that has to change immediately. We are running out of time, see? We have an extinction event. So the insects are also gone. The mammals are gone. The birds all are emaciated and starved to death. And the list goes on and on. Let's keep rolling. And so if I go up there and make one simple mistake, I end up dead and everything ends up crashed up on the rocks. If I go up and I have a breakdown or something doesn't work, I die and I lose everything. And so I'm going with just all, and it might look like I got all kinds of stuff there, but you'll be wrong. I do got all kinds of stuff there necessary, hopefully, that I can come back. The idea of the operation is I come back with the documentation. Even if everything crashes and burns, I survive. And then the Earth, people on this planet fight for their future at that stage. I wouldn't hold your breath, but that's the theory, right? That we fight for our future because we have proof now of an extinction event. So at some point, we're going to fight back. At some point, we're going to make a stand. At some point. I should have checked the number I was on that time. Hang on. I got it. And so they're cleaning this up to trick people to go back. to trick people to go back. 70% increase from before the accident doesn't make it okay. That doesn't mitigate the fact that they're still picking up bags and will be forever. And Bangkok is going to ship food in there and other countries because the media refuses to be honest. Does that mean that everybody should be poisoned to death so they can keep the lie alive? So a handful of these people can make $1 for telling these lies. Everybody else should perish. Everybody else should get tumors and cancers like the dogs. See, you can ignore the evidence. You can ignore me because I don't fit in your paradigm, that I'm not some CNN puppet or lapdog or bootlicking, cheerleading industry that you're... Like you gotta understand that I don't like doing what I'm doing. It takes all of my time, but it has to be done. And I have to get out and ask people to support me and donate to me and help me, because I don't know, if I don't do what I'm doing, then there's nobody out there doing anything. The Bangkok activists spoke out, but as far as we know, they might never speak out again. So we can't just ignore it. We gotta keep busy. We gotta fight back. We gotta end nuclear. We gotta have a conversation. We gotta do what we're doing because we gotta do it because we've been chosen to do this. Otherwise, we wouldn't exist. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that passion, right? Slurping. Everybody else is allowed to slurp except for me. Everybody else can do whatever they want except for me. So you see all these headlines like Fukushima to scale down radiation test on rice, leading up to Bangkok importing it. So I want to ship sweet peaches again this year to convey our region's reconstruction to the world, said this idiot 67-year-old monster. I want to ship peaches again, sweet peaches, to convey to our region's reconstruction. Listen, you can convey it by dealing with it first. You can convey it by be doing real tests instead of taking somebody who knows nothing about nuclear and saying, oh, the peaches are sweet. I want to murder a bunch of people again this year. Like the fact that Bangkok is even considering or has shipped food in there means that Bangkok now is a dangerous place to go eat. It's a dangerous place for tourists. You'd be stupid to go there as a tourist. You'd be stupid to go there and eat the food, because now if they're willing to do it with the fish, they're willing to do it with everything else. The work involves keeping only a certain number of fruits on the trees. This is the scariest sentence imaginable. The work involves keeping only a certain number of fruits on the trees so the nutrition will be concentrated in them before being harvested. What? So instead of growing a big tree full of fruit, they're going to force the tree to put all the radiation in just a handful of the fruit, and they're going to ship that to your country. This is truly evil. This is real, actual evil we're talking about. We're showing you. You can't possibly get more demented than that sentence. That is the literally revolting sentence. They're going to ship the food. Why are you growing food in the most radioactive place on the planet? You stupid. Like, I almost want to cry sometimes when I read this. I would, but I'm live streaming. While Suzuki's farm is located 65 kilometers away from the plant, radioactive substances were detected on the peaches right after the accident. So for sure, all that farmland was radioactive. But he washed it off, yeah? Suzuki repeatedly washed the substances from the trees using a high-pressure washer. So an actual monster you're looking at. 67-year-old monster. Fukushima newspaper editor, we don't report on health risks from radiation. People might worry. Your job is to report it. Your job is to warn. Your job is to make people worry. Your job is to hold them accountable. Your job was to be the checks and balances like Bangkok's job. But obviously they abrogated their responsibility and decided it made more sense to murder everybody. It's horrifying that this is the only stream out there with these conversations, with this rationale. We can't turn to a journalist for this kind of rationale. They don't exist. Bangkok is proof of it. On top of that, it doesn't exist anywhere else. Although the amount detected was within national limits, Suzuki repeatedly washed the substances from the trees using a high-pressure washer. It doesn't work that way. Think of a screwdriver and you magnetize it on your car battery. You can do that if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, folks. You take a piece of metal, you can magnetize it by touching the battery. Excuse me. And you can wash that screwdriver all you want, but you can't demagnetize the battery or the screwdriver by washing the battery. That's exactly what radiation does to trees and roads and structures and grass and everything else. It assimilates itself directly into its infrastructure. And so there's a handful of these crazies there. Here's a headline of one of them. A farmer was hoped that the ducks will eat up the radiation. This is how incompetent a typical farmer that's still there is. They're either completely incompetent, and then they're being quoted with the most ludicrous assertions that the media doesn't even try to say, no, that's wrong. Because then they'd have to admit other things too are bad. Since the following year, voluntary safety checks. So volunteer safety checks only are done by the local agricultural cooperatives, where the peaches are shipped. So it's only if there's a volunteer there with a Geiger counter, right? So it's like safe cast is there, you're done. They'll murder you for sure. They were set up to control the opposition. I've hardly detected any radioactive substances. Like, you can't detect the radiation in the food with a cheap Geiger counter. You need the $50,000 one and the big laboratory with academics, and you can't trust the academics, as we show here, right? World Health Organization accused of underestimating disaster's impact on the human health. Yeah, so why are you growing food in the most radiated place on the planet? How did we get that evil? How did we get so evil that even the Bangkok journalists in a wholly different other country can't tell the exact same lies as North America? How did we get this evil? How did those people get those jobs? Why did they take the job if they're not willing to tell the truth? Fukushima farmers were unable to export peaches, so they were still growing peaches in 2011 because a handful of government agencies was given the ones foolish enough to stay there the money to stay there and grow peaches. So right from the get-go, they were trying to destroy everybody on the planet. It almost seems like, wait for the meltdown, now poison the planet with radiated food. Let's grow food there and ship it everywhere. How do you get that evil? Like, I need to know. You run away and you left your liquor stores full of liquor, your boat shops full of boats, your motorcycle shops full of motorcycles, your cigarette shops full of cigarettes, your banks full of money, your hospitals with victims left behind to perish. But you send in the farmers to grow food. Over 1,100 kinds of radioactive material were detected. So the government has overseen buyers, observe cultivation and inspection methods while holding a number of food tasting events. See, no, that's not how you do it. You don't bring people in and say, look, they're growing the food. Look, he's wearing gloves. Here, look, taste. We're going to get people to taste it. You're going to buy it? You get Geiger counters. You don't grow it there. You got to drive past all those bags to get to the peaches. And Bangkok got to go out now and stab everybody in Bangkok in the back. The journalists got to murder everybody now in increments over time by saying, no, don't you worry. Where are the checks and balances? And so how can the Bangkok journalist children not cut their throats for doing that to the rest of the planet is a question that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. Their children will grow up and say, I should have cut mom and dad's throat. They were mass murderers. Almost half of the Japanese women tested showed radioactive iodine 131 in breast milk. I mean, they're basically forcing us to go out and slaughter these people. There's not that many of them. The only way to save the planet is to get rid of these people. In the old days, we would have just went and killed them off. Just leached them right where they were. That was the end of it. Now we got activists, and activists will sort it out in 30 or 40 or 50 years, I tell you. Hi, everybody. A little slow pace tonight. I'm under a lot of stress. I don't discuss it because they're paying attention and they'll put more stress on me. I can't tell you the shit that happens to me because that takes away from what I'm doing and it gives them an upper hand. And so I have to take all the blows, all the assaults, all the attacks, all the vilification, all the smears, and all the harassment and just suck it up and keep fighting. I can't get distracted. I got to get out there and do the expeditions. I don't want to go out there and do the expeditions. To be honest with you, that's the last thing I want to do. Go out there and take on that coastline like I done the last time. I'm going to, don't get me wrong. I'm preparing every day. I'm psyching myself up on top of that. And I don't have nothing to go with. The money we raise is barely enough to cover the expenses. And we built the whole operation piece by piece so we can have the operation and go do it. And now that it's finally almost done, I'm so burnt out, I don't even... Well, I want to go, don't get me wrong. I just don't want to go with nothing. I don't want to go without, it's ridiculous, right? Anything breaks down, I got to get into a port, get an internet connection, put out videos, raise the money, wait for it to show up in my account, and then get whatever the issue is fixed again. That's what the future holds for me coming up. It's horrifying. And they got endless money to attack and smear me and vilify me and demonize me and attempt to murder me. They dragged me into court and gave me 6 gag orders to silence me, smeared me worldwide in the media. They attacked me every day. Japan is threatening to put people to speak out in the concentration camps, unless they're the Bangkok media. Then they get a big Christmas bonus or spring bonus for murdering everybody with an article. So disgusting. So heartbreaking. So demoralizing. So pathetic. The prefectural government also compiles a pamphlet, get a load of this one, written in languages such as English and Chinese. Right now, think about those 2 words. The pamphlets are written in English and Chinese to advertise the safety of its fruit. So now a pamphlet is now checks and balances instead of journalists. And then expand sales into Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore where they don't speak Chinese or English. Like, woo! Peach exports in 2016 exceeded the volume shipped before the accident, even though 99% of the farmers never went back. Because they don't want the peaches in Japan, so they ship it to other countries. And no one living there. Residents feel like guinea pigs in radiation research. Survey leader. I'm not saying they should be used as guinea pigs, but So, this is shocking revelations. Watch, it's official. People who stay in Fukushima are guinea pigs. As for the rice, prefecture was unable to find an export destination in fiscal 2012-2013. But in 2014, the prefecture began shipping. They were growing it in 2012 and 13 and alleges they couldn't find an export. But they did put it on sale in Japan. Just a handful of farmers to grow it in the most radiated place. And so Britain was another one of the spots where they shipped it to. Once they started, then he increased it each year in increments, and now they're shipping more than any other year pre-Fukushima. But if you look at spinach, 100 kilometers from Fukushima, it was 54,000 becquerels. Now 55, not 1,000, but like 55 people, say, that goes on an airplane, or 55 people you fit on a bus, is an evacuation zone. And so when you're getting spinach of 54,000, so Bangkok has no need to ship food in from Japan. Right? What it was is it's only a couple of 100 kilograms, did it? Well, you're not supposed to be catching it. You're absolutely not supposed to be shipping it. And you're not supposed to be giving it to people who don't know any better. You'd be stupid to go to a restaurant right now in Bangkok for the next while because we know for a fact they got it there. You'd be stupid to trust Fisheries and Oceans or your media in Bangkok because now we know they're absolutely evil and have evil intentions. And are monsters, real-life monsters. Fukushima governor visited Malaysia to conduct top-level promotions. And rice exports to that country alone are expected to reach 100 tons from the most radiated place on the planet. Japan's government to drastically reduce allowable levels of radiation in food. Because in 2011, they said, frigate, they raised the level. They kept growing it, kept harvesting it, raised the level. People started dying all over the place. Before the accident, Fukushima prefectural government shipped fruit to those regions as a luxury product aimed at wealthier consumers. And this is what they're doing. They're raising the prices, shipping it in other countries, and giving it to the wealthy. Real demons. Second-generation bomb survivor fights prejudice against Fukushima. Well, we're actually going to pick that one up tomorrow. I'm not feeling up to it tonight. 50-minute stream tonight. I'm burnt out. I'm stressed out. I'm worn out. I'm beat the daylights. We're on a news site, TheNuclearProctologist, because 11 days before the 7th anniversary, a few days ago, they stopped my ability to stream at my main site with 22,000 subscribers because I cover Fukushima extensively. So in an attempt to silence me, and then when I started up my new site, they claimed they would shut this site down in 24 hours, right? For having a conversation, for showing the documentation. Because it's more important for them to murder you than it is for them to allow a single person, not a single person, is allowed to have another narrative and show the documentation. They don't never show you the documentation. They have evil intentions. I show you documentation of everything all the time, relentlessly, yeah? And that's what makes me dangerous, is I'm willing to tell the truth. And this activist here needs to be protected. He's right, and the people that support him are right to stop the Fukushima onslaught, and that the Japanese government have crossed the line, period. They've crossed the line. There's no media to turn to help us. There's no agencies out there trying to protect us. It's time to wipe them all out. As for trust, we can't trust any of them ever again. And it's only activists like that are willing to speak out. The fact that the media came out and gave them a platform makes you wonder, was the media, how did that even happen? How was the media even able to come out anyway, right? Look, you can't eat the food from Fukushima. You can't, right? And if you do, it's nothing but trouble. shortly behind it. And I apologize, I'm not feeling very good tonight. I don't know what to do. I got to take care of myself better, I guess. I got to eat more healthier or something. I ate pretty good last week. I felt good, eh? It's kind of like the flu where you stop taking your medication if you're got a real bad flu and you got some kind of medication, for instance, or just like anti-congestion or whatever. Not doctor stuff, but anti-congestion. And it makes you feel better, and then you stop taking it and you feel miserable again. You refuse to touch it. You're like, no, I tried it. I was okay for a couple of days. I'll just sit it out with the flu now. I'm like that with my health. Because we got everything now is directed into the expeditions. Everything I got goes into trying to fund this whole operation to go back out and do the species counts, the insect counts, the bird counts, the species counts in the tidal zone. See, a tidal zone is the nursery of the ocean. It's all wiped out. We want to go back out and confirm it. We've already documented it. You can find that documentation up at my website, TheNuclearProctologist.org. And once you do that, once you went out and we done the whole expeditions, we figured the world would start fighting for its survival, but it didn't. And so now we have to go do it again. We have to go into the communities. And now we're forced to try to ban the 2020 Olympics. Not try to ban it, we'll ban it. I know a lot of people think that's impossible, and I hear you. I don't blame you for thinking that way at all. But let's get something straight. I don't think like that. Yeah, thank you, Elaine. You're right. I need to... I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I can't keep up with it. I can't do both of it, see? We can't fund the expedition and take care of myself, and can't have an expedition if I don't take care of myself, right? So I got to learn to take care of myself, and so the sacrifices have to be made, but we've made so many, and you folks have made so many, and, you know, just had an epiphany of how many times you people have tried to get me to take care of myself. It just kind of like really struck a nerve that time for me that I let everybody down so many times. It's time for me to get that part right. It's time for me to gut up and do the right thing. Because I'm going to be headed back out there in the middle of hell. And this time I'm going to have a fleet. There's going to be 3 boats this time instead of 1. And they're going to be slow. So we took the sailboat out of the water a few days back and power washed the hull and checked the prop and the shaft and the rudder and everything. It's beautiful condition. I'm so happy we done that. I'm so thrilled that's done and out of the way. And tomorrow I'm going to go buy 2 batteries for the Zodiac, 2 big marine batteries. We got tow rope for the little Zodiac now. We still got a big list of things we got to get accomplished, but I still got to finish the list. 2 GPSs, they're going to be expensive. We got to get a drone. We got to get the washers, $200, ice makers, $200. The dry dock is done. We'll get the 2 batteries for the Zodiac tomorrow. We raised $110 in the last couple of days. And I was just waiting to raise a little bit more, which was about that much, so I can get the 2 batteries for the Zodiac. And that's huge. And there's just so many other little things I want to get. I don't even care anymore. I got enough to go for equipment. I'd rather have the equipment to be safe, right? So GPSs, I got to get them before I go. But the rest of it, we can do without it if I got to. And the sailboat doesn't burn much fuel. That's the big hope here is the sailboat will tow the whole operation for 5-6 months around the coastline. and we'll hit all the major spots, and we'll document it. We'll go into ports, we'll upload some of that documentation and videos to keep the operation moving and try to wake the planet up to fight for its future, because there's no maybes about this. This is an extinction event. We went and documented it, and we're running out of time. Like, we're really running out of time. And I'm actually just going to go into town tonight and go into a restaurant, sit there, and I'm going to order whatever I feel like it. I'm going to eat it, because I've never done that. I've been here 9 years, but tonight I'm going to go do it. It's probably going to cost $40 or $50, and I'll cry all the way home about it. But I'll sleep good, because it'll be the first time in 9 years I actually went and done something. Last meal I went out and had, Elaine bought it for me in Prince Rupert. And so I'm overdue for another meal, I guess. All I can do is say my deepest respect and admirations for everybody that has stood tall and supported me. And I'm just human like you. And I am doing everything in my power all day, every day. Be back here tomorrow night, 6 p.m. We'll be live streaming all day Sunday on the 11th anniversary. Please join these streams. Watch them later. Share them or something. Learn from them. Get out and make blogs. Create social networking sites if you can, and spread this message to the four winds, because it is only through our work that reality and a future will find a way. It'll be directly associated with what we do. The future generation owes its existence and its freedom and its liberty to the work that you and I do. The selfless work that we do is the difference between no future and a future. And the people don't realize it and might never realize it. But at some point, the story will be told that we were the honest and sincere and genuine movement that changed the world for the better and gave hope. And that's enough, I'm sure. Hugs for everybody. We'll see everybody tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, British Columbia, Canada time, right here at The Nuclear Proctologist on YouTube. Hugs for everybody.